There are places on our maps marked with silence. Blank spots, not of discovery, but of deliberate omission. They are the Earth's quiet scars, the zones of containment where events transpired that defy our understanding of the world. Governments call them ecological exclusion zones, restricted military sectors, or areas of permanent environmental contamination. But these are sterile terms for a truth far more profound and far more terrifying. These are the places where nature, as we know it, has died and something else has been born. Welcome to the Wilderness Protocol. Today, we don't just explore a remote location. We dissect a memory, piecing together the fragmented, classified, and harrowing chronicle of what happened on the island of Ithalgan event, officially known as a Level 7 biocontamination incident. But to those who have seen the fragments of forbidden data, who have heard the whispered accounts of the last broadcasts, it is known by another name, the anomaly. This is the story of how a small, isolated corner of our world became a gateway to a horror that was both cosmic in its origin and deeply, terrifyingly ecological in its manifestation. This is the story of the day our planet began to be rewritten. Our story begins not on Earth, but in the cold, silent void between Mars and Jupiter. For eons, an object, no larger than a small car, tumbled through the darkness. It was not rock, not iron, not the usual debris of a solar system's birth. It was something structured, something ancient. On its trajectory, it was unremarkable, one of billions of such objects. But on October 17, 2028, its eons-long journey intersected with Earth's orbit. It was initially designated XA 2028, Tango by NORAD, one of thousands of near-Earth objects tracked by global defense systems. Most burn up in the atmosphere, creating fleeting, beautiful streaks across the night sky. But Tango was different. As it entered the upper atmosphere over the North Pacific, its thermal signature was wrong. Instead of superheating to thousands of degrees, it seemed to absorb energy. Its velocity decreased far more rapidly than atmospheric friction could account for, not as if it were braking, but as if it were being cushioned. It fell from the sky not like a stone, but like a seed. The object broke into 3 primary fragments. 2 vanished into the vastness of the Pacific Ocean, their fate unknown to this day. But the third, the largest piece, continued on a controlled descent, impacting a remote, uninhabited island in the Skay-Taw-Estiana archipelago, a chain of islands off the northern coast of British Columbia, an island known on local maps as Ithalga. To the Canadian government, it was a geological curiosity, a potential source of new minerals, a scientific anomaly worth investigating. A small, agile research team was assembled under the banner of the Canadian Geological Survey, in partnership with a private bioresearch firm named Etheria Dynamics. Their mission: locate the meteorite fragment, analyze its composition, and assess any environmental impact. The team was led by Dr. Eris Thorne, a brilliant but controversial astrobiologist, a man who had spent his career looking for life in the stars, never imagining he would find it by looking at the ground beneath his feet. With him were Dr. Lena Petrova, a botanist specializing in extremophilic flora, Dr. Ben Carter, a geologist and materials scientist, and Elias Vance, a communications and logistics expert, a former Special Forces soldier hired for his survival skills. They arrived on Ithalga on October 29, 2028. The island was a primordial paradise, a relic of the last ice age. Towering Sitka spruce and red cedar trees formed a dense canopy, the forest floor a thick carpet of moss and ferns. The air was heavy with the scent of salt water and damp earth. It was a world of green and gray, shrouded in a near-constant mist. It was a perfect picture of terrestrial life in its most rugged, pristine state. It would be the last time anyone would see it that way. The team set up a base campus series of interconnected, modular research tents about 2 kilometers from the calculated impact zone. The first few days were routine. Carter used ground-penetrating radar to pinpoint the fragment's location, buried deep within a peat bog in the island's central highlands. Petrova took baseline readings of the local flora and fauna, cataloging the island's native species. Thorne oversaw the operation, his impatience to see the object palpable in his early log entries. Here is an excerpt from Dr. Thorne's audio log, dated November 2, 2028. Dr. Thorne, Day 5 on Ithalga. The island is aggressively normal. Petrova is having the time of her life documenting every species of lichen, while Carter is practically drooling over the seismic data. The impact signature is fascinating, he says. Almost no kinetic dispersal. It's like the bog just swallowed it. As for me, I feel like a child on Christmas Eve. We're about to see something no human has ever seen. The composition of this thing, all our long-range spectrography came back inconclusive. Not rock, not metal, just other. We begin excavation tomorrow. I can't shake the feeling that we are standing on the shore of a vast, unknown ocean. On November 3rd, the excavation began. It was a delicate process. The bog was unstable, and they didn't want to damage the object. After 12 hours of careful work, they finally saw it. It wasn't a charred, pitted meteorite. It was a smooth, obsidian-black ovoid, roughly 2 meters long. Its surface was not reflective but seemed to drink the light, making it appear like a hole in reality. There were no seams, no markings, except for a series of impossibly fine, hair-like crystalline structures that pulsed with a soft, internal violet light. It was cold to the touch, impossibly cold, radiating a chill that seemed to sap the warmth from the very air around it. Dr. Carter, the geologist, was the first to voice the sheer impossibility of it. He is quoted in the official incident report, a transcript of the team's initial satellite uplink. Dr. Carter, its molecular structure is a joke. It shouldn't exist. The atoms are arranged in a fractal lattice that seems to fold in on itself in more than 3 dimensions. It's like trying to read a book where all the letters are stacked on top of each other. The material is fundamentally stable, yet it's in a constant state of quantum flux. And the thermal readings are negative. Not just cold, it's actively deleting heat from the surrounding environment. This isn't a rock that fell from space, Eris. This is a piece of cosmic machinery. This was the moment the mission changed, from a geological survey to a first contact scenario. But this was a first contact with no one to talk to. Just a silent, cold, and utterly alien object, humming with an unknowable purpose. They couldn't move it. They couldn't drill it. Every tool they used was either flash-frozen and shattered, or simply rendered inert at a molecular level. All they could do was study it in situ, in the heart of the bog, a black egg in a nest of terrestrial soil. For the next 2 weeks, a strange sense of euphoria settled over the camp. They were on the cusp of the greatest discovery in human history. They were documenting the impossible. They worked tirelessly, their log entries filled with frantic, excited notations about fractal geometry and negative energy states. They didn't notice the quiet changes happening around them. They were so focused on the alien object, they failed to see the alien world it was creating. The first sign was subtle. Dr. Petrova, the botanist, noted it in her personal journal on November 19th. Dr. Petrova, something is wrong with the mosses. I was recataloguing samples taken near the excavation site. The sphagnum moss, its cellular structure is changing. Under the microscope, the hyaline cells, which are normally clear and dead, are there developing a networked structure. Like neurons. It's impossible. And the color, it's shifting. The vibrant green is fading, replaced by a pale, almost luminous silver. When I touched the sample, I felt a faint vibration, almost like a hum. Ben said I'm overtired. Eris told me to focus on the real prize. But this is my field. Moss doesn't just decide to become a circuit board. She was right, and it wasn't just the moss. A perimeter check by Elias Vance, the security expert, revealed another disturbing anomaly. The local wildlife was gone. The island, which had been alive with the sounds of birds, squirrels, and the rustling of deer in the undergrowth, was now unnervingly silent. There were no tracks, no droppings, no birdsong at dawn. It was as if every living creature with the ability to flee had. The silence began to weigh on the team. The initial euphoria of discovery curdled into a low-grade paranoia. Their equipment started to malfunction in strange ways. Batteries would drain in minutes. Digital screens would fill with static that seemed to resolve into complex, mandala-like patterns before fading. Elias, a man trained for the harshest conditions, became withdrawn, spending hours cleaning his rifle, his eyes constantly scanning the silent tree line. Then came the fog. Ithalga was known for its mist, but this was different. It was a thick, cloying fog that didn't roll in from the sea, but seemed to rise from the ground itself. It carried a strange, metallic, ozone-like scent, and it didn't dissipate, even at midday. It clung to the island, reducing visibility to a few feet and muffling all sound, amplifying the oppressive silence. Inside this fog, the world began to truly unravel. The flora was the first to undergo a complete, horrifying transformation. The towering Sitka spruce trees near the impact site began to change. Their bark peeled away to reveal a smooth, gray, flesh-like substrate underneath. Their needles fell away, replaced by long, crystalline spines that chimed softly in the wind, creating a constant, discordant music. The team called them the glass pines. The forest floor became a landscape from a nightmare. The silvery, networked moss Petrova had discovered now covered everything, pulsing with a soft, internal violet light, the same light as the alien ovoid. It grew in strange, geometric patterns, perfect spirals and hexagons that seemed intentionally designed. Walking on it felt wrong. It was spongy and warm, and with every step, the light would pulse more brightly, as if you were walking across the exposed nervous system of some vast organism. New forms of life began to appear, things that were not just mutated versions of terrestrial life, but entirely new creations. A type of fungus, which they dubbed coral fungus, grew in large, bell-shaped clusters. These fungi did not release spores. They released sound. It was a low, resonant hum that vibrated in the bones. Sometimes, the hum would resolve into complex, multi-layered harmonies, almost like a choir. Standing near a cluster was disorienting, causing nausea and vivid auditory hallucinations. Dr. Thorne, in a moment of morbid fascination, recorded the sound. Analysis later showed the choral patterns were not random. They were a form of highly complex mathematical language, broadcasting prime number sequences and geometric theorems. The fungus was calculating. This is from a recovered communication fragment from Elias Vance to the mission's mainland command. His voice is strained, tense. Elias Vance. Command. This is Vance. You have to listen to me. The ecological survey it's a bust. Everything is wrong here. The forest is singing and the trees are made of glass. Petrova is locked in her tent. Says that the plants are talking to her through the moss. Carter hasn't slept in 3 days. He just sits by the radio trying to filter the static. He says it's not static. He says it's a signal. And Thorne is ecstatic. He calls it xenogenesis. He's not seeing the danger. He's taking samples of everything, bringing them back to the lab tent. I told him it's a breach of quarantine protocol and he laughed. Command, this place it doesn't feel like Earth anymore. Requesting immediate extraction. I repeat, requesting immediate. That was the last clear voice communication received from Ithalga. After that, all they received was Carter's signal, a continuous low-bandwidth data stream of pure static, which, when visualized, formed those same terrifyingly complex fractal patterns. The island was now completely cut off. The fog, which had become saturated with a strange, conductive particulate matter, blocked all radio frequencies. The team was alone, trapped in a rapidly evolving alien ecosystem. The ecological horror escalated. The few animals that hadn't fled began to reappear, but they were no longer recognizable. A deer was found standing motionless at the edge of the camp, its flesh translucent, its organs glowing faintly within. Its antlers had branched into intricate, coral-like structures, and its eyes were solid, milky white orbs. It didn't react to their presence, simply standing and watching them with its sightless eyes before turning and walking silently back into the glowing, chiming forest. Insects became metallic and geometric. Spiders wove webs of fine, glass-like threads that were as strong as steel cable. The water in the streams ran thick and slightly viscous, carrying the same violet luminescence as the moss. To drink it was to invite madness. One of the last legible entries in Petrova's journal describes Ben Carter, the geologist, after he drank from a stream in a moment of desperate thirst. Dr. Petrova, Ben drank the water. We tried to stop him. Now, oh God, he sits in his chair, not moving, not blinking. His skin has taken on a pearlescent sheen, like the inside of a seashell. He whispers continuously, not in English, but in clicks and tones. Mathematical sequences. He keeps repeating the lattice is incomplete. It requires more nodes. The pattern must be completed. Sometimes he looks at me, and his eyes, his pupils have become perfect squares. He's not Ben anymore. The island is it's digesting him. It's turning him into another one of its instruments. The ecological horror was complete. The island was no longer a terrestrial environment with an alien object in it. The island was the alien, a single, interconnected, terraforming entity, with the ovoid in the bog as its cold, silent heart. It was rewriting the very laws of biology, turning a vibrant, chaotic ecosystem into a cold, calculated, and terrifyingly beautiful alien machine. And the three remaining members of the team were no longer scientists. They were contaminants, foreign bodies in a new world that was rapidly learning how to purge them. The final phase of the Ithalga anomaly is documented almost entirely through the last, desperate log entries of Dr. Eris Thorne. His initial scientific excitement had morphed into a chilling, almost religious fervor. As his team fell apart around him, he became the lone chronicler of the apocalypse unfolding in his petri dish of an island. He finally understood what was happening, and his realization is perhaps the most terrifying part of this entire story. It was not an invasion. It was not a weapon. It was something far more mundane and therefore far more horrifying. It was agriculture. Here is a key excerpt from Thorne's final, corrupted data file, recovered weeks later by a drone that managed to penetrate the fog. The audio is degraded, filled with the chime of the glass trees and the hum of the coral fungus. Dr. Thorne, they're gone. Lena, she walked into the glowing moss last night. She just dissolved, became part of the light. Elias, he tried to make a break for the shore. The things in the trees, the crystalline spiders, they found him. His screams were very brief. Now it's just me. And Ben. He doesn't speak anymore. He just hums, in perfect harmony with the fungus. He's a repeater now, a biological signal booster for the network. I was wrong. So fundamentally, cosmically wrong. I came here looking for life, but I was thinking in terms of cells, carbon, DNA. I was thinking of organisms. That's not what this is. This whole island, it's a single entity. The ovoid isn't a ship or a probe. It's a seed. Think of how a farmer plants a seed. He first clears the land. He removes the weeds, the pests, the native life that would compete with his crop. He plows the soil, changing its very structure. Then he plants, and his crop grows, creating a new, artificial ecosystem designed for one purpose: harvest. That is what is happening here. The silence, the fleeing animals, that was the land being cleared. The fog, the changing flora, the network of moss, that is the plowing. The soil, our very biology, is being rewritten to support a new kind of life. A crystalline, silica-based life form that communicates via light and resonant frequencies. We are the weeds. Our biology, chaotic, warm, and wet, is anathema to the cold, structured, crystalline crop that is being grown here. We are not being attacked. We are being removed, eradicated with the passionless efficiency of a gardener pulling a weed from his flower bed. This isn't cosmic horror because it's evil. It's cosmic horror because it's utterly, terrifyingly indifferent. Whoever or whatever planted this seed on our world millions of years ago probably doesn't even remember doing it. We are an ant hill in the way of a construction project. Our extinction is not a tragedy to them. It's a trivial, necessary step. I can see it now. The pattern Carter was trying to filter from the static. It's a blueprint, the final form of this new ecosystem. And it's beautiful. A world of living glass and singing light. Perfect, logical, cold world. I feel a strange peace. The fear is gone, replaced by an overwhelming sense of my own irrelevance. I am a ghost, haunting a world that is no longer mine. I think I will go see the garden now. I want to see what the harvest looks like. That was the last message from Dr. Eris Thorne. His final revelation reframes the entire event. The horror wasn't just ecological, the monstrous transformation of our world. It was cosmic, the realization that our form of life, our entire existence, could be considered nothing more than a pest, an inconvenience to be cleared away for a purpose we can never hope to comprehend. The alien life form wasn't hostile. It didn't hate us. It simply didn't care. And in the vast, cold emptiness of space, indifference is a far greater terror than malice. While Thorne was reaching his terrible enlightenment, the outside world was in a panic. The loss of communication, the bizarre data streams, and the reconnaissance photos showing a landscape that shimmered and glowed with an unnatural light triggered the highest levels of alarm within the Canadian and U.S. governments. They knew they couldn't fight it. How do you fight an ecosystem? How do you bomb a frequency? How do you kill a life form that has rewritten the very laws of physics in its small corner of the world? Any attempt at a rescue or assault was deemed not only futile, but catastrophically dangerous. What if a soldier was infected? What if he brought a single, glowing spore back to the mainland? The Ithalga anomaly could become a global pandemic, not of disease, but of biological and physical transformation. A planetary-scale terraforming event. So they enacted a secret, desperate contingency plan. A plan that exists for exactly these kinds of existential, unwinnable threats. A plan called the Wilderness Protocol. The protocol is not about engagement. It is about containment. Absolute, unequivocal, and permanent. First, a cover story was created. A catastrophic chemical spill from a sunken, unmarked vessel. The Skye-Taw-Estiana archipelago was declared a permanent ecological exclusion zone. The public was told the contamination was so severe that the area would be uninhabitable for centuries. It was a lie that concealed a truth far worse. Second, a naval quarantine was established. A fleet of silent, autonomous warships now patrol the waters around the archipelago, with orders to destroy any vessel that attempts to enter or leave the zone. No questions asked. Third, the airspace was restricted. It is now a no-fly zone, enforced by air patrols and a sophisticated satellite surveillance system that monitors the island constantly. Ithalga was effectively erased from the world. A tomb island, left to fester in its alien beauty. The official report was classified at the highest level, the names of Thorne, Petrova, Carter, and Vance erased from public record. They became ghosts in the system, casualties of a war no one knew was being fought. For years, the island remained relatively stable. A contained anomaly. Drones sent to monitor it showed a world that had settled into its new form. A forest of chiming glass, a land of glowing, geometric moss, all humming with a constant, low-frequency signal. The crop was growing. But in the last 18 months, the monitoring has revealed something new, something alarming. The signal is changing. The frequency is rising, becoming more complex, more urgent. And satellite thermal imaging shows that the original ovoid, the seed in the heart of the bog, is getting warmer. The negative energy state is reversing. Some scientists in the know fear the worst, that the terraforming phase is complete, that the garden has been tended, and the crop is now ripe. They fear that the seed is preparing to hatch, or perhaps more accurately to broadcast its success, a signal to the farmers, letting them know that this small, fertile patch of universe is ready for harvest. What happens then, no one knows. Will the island explode? Will it send out a new wave of transformative energy? Or will something answer the call? This is the state of things today. The silence from Ithalga is not the silence of death. It is the silence of anticipation, the deep, patient breath of a new world waiting to be born from the ashes of our own. The story of the Ithalga anomaly is a sobering thought experiment, a fiction pieced together from the very real anxieties of our modern age. It touches on our fear of the unknown, the fragility of our environment, and our own cosmic insignificance. Thank you for joining us at the Wilderness Protocol. If tales of the strange, the unexplained, and the terrifyingly vast interest you, consider subscribing and clicking the notification bell. Every story is a piece of a larger puzzle, and we have many more fragments to share. Until next time, stay vigilant and listen to the silence. Sometimes it has the most to say.